Well, today I want to talk about this awesome little tool, kilowatt meter. You can buy these at Amazon, Harbor Freight. But if you're an RV owner, you shouldn't leave home without one of these. I'll show you why. Now, well, let me tell you what it can do for you. Because another thing, it tells you your voltage, what's coming into your RV. You can measure amp draw, your hertz. So if, say for instance, you was having issues with your refrigerator or whatever, and you needed to know how many amps it was pulling, or any device, a ceramic heater, whatever, you can plug it up into this, and it will tell you the amp draw from it. You can calculate how much it's costing you to run something by the kilowatt hours. So it does all kinds of neat little things. But the main thing that we want to know is our voltage that's coming into our RV. Now, if you got a newer RV, like I've added this to ours, say I've got all this digital stuff going on. I know exactly I'm pulling 6 amps on one leg. I got 119 volts on one, 117 volts on the other. Now I've got my RV in the garage and I'm connected up to just a small extension cord. So, and I'll show you what can happen. Let's go over here. All right, so on this one here, tell me like 117 volts. Now I'm going to fire up the air conditioner and I'm going to show you what will happen to the voltage. Let me get this paused for a second. Okay, at the moment we're at 116. Let me kick the air on. I'm on the right leg. Let's see here. All right, now just watch. So I'm sitting at 110 volts right now. I'm going to walk back here and I'm going to flip on the rear air. So I'm going to have 2 airs on. Let's go right here. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, now see we've dropped down to 106, which is about borderline. I have I'm trying to remember the name of that device I've installed that protects me. If I drop much below, I think it's maybe 105, 103, if I drop much below that, it will automatically disconnect the connection from shore power to the RV to protect everything. So, some campgrounds you get into on a weekend, busy weekend, they're packed full of people. There can be a lot of power draw. If you got an older RV and you don't know, you could be only drawing 100 volts and not know it. And your compressor may try to come on and it can't start, and possibly burn itself up or cause damage to it. But if you know this, if you see you've only got 105 volts, or heaven forbid, less than 100, and you wonder why your air conditioner's not working, it may be up there humming, cranking hot because it can't start. Okay, see, a good example. So my device kicked in and just disconnected everything. Let me get the name of that thing for you. Well, here it is. I forgot the name of it, but it's Progressive Industries. And because we have a 50 amp RV, there's the model EMS HW50C. And it's protected me because it knew my voltage was getting too low, and to keep from burning up a compressor, it's disconnected me from shore power. So, but if you don't have one of these, it's going to be up to you to measure your voltage and to protect your equipment on board. So, let's go inside and do another test. All right, so for another test I want to do, you can see I got no power now. I've unplugged the shore power, everything's completely off. So I'm going to start the generator up and see what it shows as far as a comparison. It'll take a second for the transfer switch to kick over. Okay, now we're running on generator power. We got 121 volts. And our hertz are a little over 60. Alright, so now I'm going to start turning on the air conditioners and we'll see how much drop we get compared to what we had before on my extension cord. Here's the front air is on. Give it a second. Okay, now I'm going to turn the back air on. Okay, so now we're on generator power. We're off the extension cord. We're maintaining a solid 118 volts, and our hertz are at 59.6. Now it's 60 hertz, that's what we want. And this is another great feature of this, is measuring your hertz. Sometimes you may have a random shutdown on your generator, and your generator could be over speeding. And this is an easy way to tell. If you watch or follow Nomadic Fanatic on YouTube, that's how I helped him troubleshoot his RV. He was worked on that thing for months trying to get it repaired, and I reached out to him and we kind of did a video chat thing on the phone and did some troubleshooting. That's what was happening to his. I had him plug up his kilowatt meter to tell me his hertz. So when he was running on generator with his kilowatt meter, he was sitting like at 64 hertz with the air conditioners on. So he was right at the borderline of shutdown. And so what would happen in his scenario, and this could happen to you too, you may be driving along with your generator on, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden it shuts down. And what can happen is, if you're running with your generator and you're fully loaded with your air conditioner, so it's pulling it down, like with his situation of 64 hertz, which was enough to keep it running. It was right on the borderline. But when the air conditioner got satisfied, and the moment the air conditioner shut off, well, then the RPMs of the generator would spike and take it over the limit, so take it up to maybe 65, 66 hertz. At that moment, the generator would shut itself down. But to him, he was just driving down the road and it just shut down randomly. But after we had made some adjustments on the governor and got that fixed and took care of it. So it's a powerful little tool to keep in your toolbox. Can be handy in different ways. So just something I thought I'd add. And you make you a great Christmas present, wouldn't it? For every RVer. You know, I mentioned using this to measure amp draw. So I just want to add this information. This is just a good example. Say, for instance, you just switched over to solar and you want to know how many amps different devices are pulling. Sometimes the device will tell you, sometimes it won't. Now, like for me, we have a 1,000 watt inverter. So I have to be careful about how much amps I draw or wattage. So like with this ceramic heater I got right here, sometimes you get on the back, it'll tell you. With this one, it tells me on high, it pulls 1,500 watts, but it doesn't tell me the wattage on low. So, but if I wanted to know that information, how am I going to find out? Well, if you got this little box, you can find out. So let's turn it on here. And turn on, so I can tell on low that I'm pulling about close to 800 watts. So that tells me I can run my ceramic heater off my inverter, off my batteries, but I just have to keep it on low because I know if I put it on high, it's going to trip out. So let me show you the watts, but let me also show you the amp draw. So because like again, so we've got there's our volts, there's our amp draw, 6.85 amps. And there's our wattage. Of course, our hertz is at 60 hertz. Like it should be. That thing's kind of noisy. I hope you heard me over all that. But it's a great little tool. Another way I use this came into play a couple years ago where I upgraded my printer. I went to a laser printer for my paperwork, and I thought that was a great upgrade. The only problem is every time I went to print a piece of paper, my inverter would shut down and trip out. And what I was finding out was when the printer fired up to heat up the toner, it would spike over 1,000 watts, tripping out my inverter. So I had to end up getting a different printer. So, but using this little device, I knew exactly what was going on pretty quick. So just another good tool to have in your toolbox, and it's not that expensive once you play around with it and learn how to use it. And in fact, before I upgraded to all these digital readouts here to measure the voltage on each leg, I just left that plugged up constantly. I plugged it up in the kitchen area where I could see it. So I always knew, regardless where we was at, if I was on generator or if I was on a campground, I knew what kind of voltage we had. But then that's where later on I thought, you know, I wanted to know more details. I wanted to know what was going on both legs. And I got a video on how I did this. It's a neat little device you can put on there, especially when you have a 50 amp service. You got two legs coming in of 120 each. And so I can measure exactly the load. So I got, you know, load on one leg. I've got 0 amp draw. Other one I'm only pulling 4 amps. And let me pull the ceramic heater, see what it changes it to. Okay, see that was 0 amps. Now it's jumping up now. 6 amps. So it's a pretty handy thing to have. And I got a video somewhere on my channel showing how I installed these. I can't remember what I named it. I think it's something to do about voltage. You can just search voltage, you'll find it.